Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight or early this evening for episode review for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 1, Episode 4 review that I just got done watching for this Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 1, Episode 4 that I'm going to be reviewing for you guys. I think it's called The Great Wave. I think the episode name was called, so I'm going to discuss what I watched for this 71-minute episode. It was pretty lengthy. It was over an hour, for sure, and let you know my thoughts on this episode that I just got done watching. So let's dive into Season 1, Episode 4 for the review for it. So, this one does not have the hard foots in it, which is understandable because I guess they haven't gotten to their certain destination where they have to go. Pretty much. Oh, sorry for my yawning. Pretty much, this episode focuses on Galadriel and the other guy, the guy from the Southlands or whatever, that had his home invaded by orcs and Sauron himself. So pretty much, the orcs and Sauron, or Adar is what his name is, or something like that. He goes by Sauron, but his name that he tries to go by is Adar. So you basically, it doesn't really explain that he's the one that's Sauron, but I have a feeling he is, for sure. He talks to the elf or whatever for a moment and says, I'll let you go as long as you can deliver a message to your people. Tell them that we're coming for them and all that. So, or basically, if they refuse the offer, then something's going to happen to where it might start out an all-out war for the Southlands. So they show Elrond in this one, and I was pretty impressed with this episode. It was another pretty good episode. I don't know if it's weaker than the last one, but it was pretty good, for sure. The script was really well done with this one. And I know there's going to be a new House of the Dragon coming out tonight, so hopefully it performs well. I don't know. I was very disappointed with the last one, in my personal opinion. I just found it to be kind of a bore, but that's my opinion. But yeah, uh, Numenor is the place that it was called, that Galadriel's at, and they were about ready to tell her to leave Numenor or whatever to go back to her people, which is the elves in Lindon, I believe. So, Elrond is helping Durin, or or I think his name is, with some kind of mining or whatever. And I guess they're gonna be eventually forging the Rings of Power. I don't know. I think this might have a second season. I don't know for sure unless it's a one-time show or whatever, a one-time season or whatever. But this was a really good episode. It just basically is kind of telling the story of where each character is at a certain plot point in the show and all that, and where they're going to be going. So, yeah, it's pretty good script for this one. I really liked it. Overall, I think episode 4 of season 1 was really good. Pretty interesting of a watch, and it does cut out in the last episode with the Adar thing or whatever, with the orcs cheering for him or something like that, for the last episode, which was episode 3. but this one was really good too. So I think it's a little bit of a down step from the last one because there were some slightly dull moments, slightly, not a lot, but it's more interesting of a watch. This show is. So first score for me, I'm giving season 1, episode 4 of Lord the Rings of Power a 9 out of 10. This was a really good episode. It does explain about this thing called the Great Wave in it, which is the Great Wave of Numenor. It's like the downfall for Numenor or whatever. But basically, Numenor made a pact with the elves, and they're going to war in like 10 days or so. It says it at the end of the episode. So, pretty much, there's going to be a war happening closer to the end of this season. So, yeah. This was a really good episode. I highly recommend you watch it. It's without the credits, you're in for like 66 minutes of a watch. It's pretty long, but it's pretty well written. This show is. So, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, season 1, episode 4 for Lord of the Rings of Power, if you've seen it on Prime Video or online. And if you enjoyed this episode 4 review for season 1 of Lord of the Rings of Power, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. I was trying to explain it the best way I could with this episode without spoiling too much. Well, I kind of did say some things with what I watched with this episode, but it was a pretty interesting watch. And I was really impressed with this episode. It mentions a name in this called Isildur. So I think I heard that name in the Lord of the Rings show and all that, and yeah, it's got me questioning, is that the same guy that was supposed to throw the ring into the fire? Sauron's ring or whatever, the one ring to rule them all. So, I think that's him, if I'm not mistaken. But, I'd have to just see where the story goes for this show and all that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode 4 review for season 1 of Lord of the Rings of Power. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. I just noticed that Isildur character in this show was basically in this show for the Rings of Power, so there's going to be something interesting happening closer to the end of this season. So we'll just find out what that is, because there's only 4 more episodes left. So, yeah, the next episode is going to be coming out on my birthday, which is the 23rd. Then there'll be the 6th episode on the 30th, the 7th on the 7th, of course, and the 8th on the 14th of October. So, it ends October 14th this season, so that's fine. But they make it pretty lengthy to watch through. Each episode is pretty lengthy. So, we'll probably get an explanation about where the Hardfoots are at a certain point. With that wizard that has magical abilities. We'll probably see that in the 5th episode, I think. It's just trying to make time to make it an interesting episode, because they can't explain everything with every character, so they have to cut out one particular scene to make the next week's episode and all that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode 4 review for season 1 of Lord of the Rings of Power. Sorry if I'm dragging this review out and repeating myself a few times, so I'm gonna end it right now. So stay safe, take care, and as always, I will see you in my next review.